So, hey guys, I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna try not to spend too much time on this, but I don't know. We'll see how this goes. But I tried Reddit recently. And when I say recently, I mean within like the past couple of days. And I haven't really used it before. I did have an account which I made like a year and a half ago, which, to be honest, I just haven't really used. I made it primarily just to join the Dick Show podcast subreddit, and I posted one rage there, and I haven't done anything since. And I decided to post another rage the other day, and just because I had the thing floating around in my head, and I thought I'd put it out. And I actually deleted my Facebook not long ago, so I've been kind of experimenting with different social media platforms, just kind of seeing where I want to go with it. I don't really know. I was just trying to find my feet and just explore different things. Now, I tried Reddit because I thought Reddit, I understand that there's a lot of SJW left-wing bullshittery going on Reddit. I just didn't realise how bad it actually was. And I just kind of want to make a little bit of a video exposing this somewhat, because as far as I'm aware, outside of the Reddit sphere, there's no one really talking about it, which I find kind of odd, because Reddit actually has a really, really massive audience, really. So I find it very odd that nobody's really made any videos or anything discussing this. So I thought I'd make one, and just to very quickly go over some of the things I've found to be kind of egregious over the past couple of days. So first things first is we have a update of the content policy, which came out about a month ago, right? I think this corresponds roughly with when I think one of the co-creators of Reddit left, and basically made a bit of a song and dance about how he should be replaced with like somebody of colour or some shit like that. And that's kind of whatever. It's kind of by the by, but yeah, this new content policy comes out, right? And so let's look at the first two rules that they have created here. So the first one explicitly states that communities and users that promote hate based on identity or vulnerability will be banned. Okay? Interesting. There's an expanded definition, and we'll go to that in a minute. Rule 2. It ties together with our previous rules on prohibited behaviour. Blah blah blah. Abide by community rules and post with authentic personal interest. Debate and creativity are welcome, but spam and malicious attempts to interfere with other communities are not. Right. So basically, you can't try to get your community to go to another community and like spam them and do whatever shit. So we have this going on now. We have some interesting replies to this. But people are basically worried that what their definitions really are about how they're really enforcing this, and we'll get to why they might think that. So I'll just make this a bit bigger so you can read it. A bit too big. Okay, so Reddit is a place for creating community and belonging, not for attacking marginalised or vulnerable groups of people. Everyone has a right to use Reddit free of harassment, bullying and threats of violence. Communities and people incite violence or that promote hate based on identity will be banned. Marginalised or vulnerable groups include, but are not limited to, groups based on their actual and perceived race, colour, religion, national origin, ethnicity, immigration status, gender identity, sexual orientation, pregnancy or disability. These include victims of major violent and or violent events and their families. While the rule on hate protects such groups, it does not protect those who promote attacks of hate or who try to hide their hate in bad faith claims of discrimination. Right, so basically, what they're actually kind of saying here is that none of this actually applies to quote unquote a majority group. So it's only for minority groups that are protected, essentially, right? Which to me is a kind of a racist thing. I mean, it should be across the board, right? It should be across the board that you don't promote hate in any capacity, whether it's a minority or otherwise, right? Because it just fosters a resentful atmosphere. If you have one rule for one and one rule for another, you're going to breed a lot more contempt in people. So let's have a look at one of the main offenders that I've found. Obviously, I'm not an expert on Reddit. I'm sure there are a plethora of other places, but we have anti-hate communities here now. One of the top newest submissions we have here, submitted 6 hours ago, is being straight a mental illness. Awesome. So toxic whiteness. Guess there's nothing racist about that. True Off My Chest has become a territory of straight white males, so they are targeting another group, another subreddit, and we need to take them down. That is targeted. So they are now defending a racist black guy who was being racist to a white fella, and basically gaslighting those other people that are upset about it by saying that they're the actual racists for not not supporting somebody being chastised based on their race. What else? I mean, I'm just going off the fly here. I mean, I've seen plenty of stuff. Another thing that's a problem with this whole Reddit system is that when you report a post or a user, or even you can't even actually report an actual subreddit itself, which is kind of amazing in my opinion. But when you report a post in a subreddit, it actually goes to the mods of that subreddit, okay? It doesn't actually go to a separate mod community for Reddit as a whole. It goes to the mods of that subreddit. So it's actually kind of a pointless thing. Like if you have openly racist mods, essentially, like, and this goes any way, whether it's white nationalist, black, whatever, anti-Semitism, whoever it is, like if the mods have those points of view, then that basically means they have free reign to allow this stuff to go on in their subreddits. So it's actually just a really it's a really stupid way of doing these things. It's actually kind of ironic, because one of the recent things about one of the big criticisms of the cops at the minute is that they regulate themselves and that they investigate themselves for their crimes and complaints and all that kind of stuff. And I actually agree with that. I actually think it is a stupid system. Like, there should be something of a third party that actually deals with these police complaints and stuff like that, so that it can actually be judged fairly. So that's just another problem with this. So we have hate problem in our schools. Just warped ideas. People don't care if a black person is killed. It's just a warped idea, isn't it? Like, they have the backing of massive corporations. Pretty much most institutions you can think of are backing this, like, kind of Black Lives Matter narrative. There's been millions upon millions, if not billions of dollars spent on it. All that jazz. And it has split the nation up. I'm not going to say that, like, there isn't a large portion of people who do oppose it on different, various different grounds. However, to act like nobody cares is really a massive overstatement at this point, especially when there's been, like, massive riots all over the country, some that are still going on right to this day. So Da, da, da. So again, another target for another subreddit. Now somebody's trying to debunk all the lies of Uyghurs being detained in China. So I guess somebody's just shilling for China right there. Okay. Da, 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 da. So, I think I've shown enough. I mean, these are just some of the newest threads. Some of them have quite large upvotes and stuff like that. Very strange. Now we have some of the hot ones. Or maybe we should go to top instead. I don't care about having new messages. I mean, they're probably just notifications from the Dick Show thing, but I've been banned from it, so I can't even respond to them anyway, so there's no point. So here they are trying to say that a meme proves that everybody's Nazis somehow. With the username Anti-White Warrior. But of course they're not banned. I mean, some of it I do actually agree with, don't get me wrong. Like, some of these white girls fetishizing the trauma of, Jewish people and whatever. It is pretty retarded. I do agree with some of this stuff here and there. But the vast majority of the posts that I see are fundamentally breaking a lot of the rules that they claim to have. Now let's look at some of the rules that they actually have in this subreddit. So they say no discrimination of any sort, but then they also say no right-wingers and no I'm a white man posts. So you can say as a black person I think this, but as a white man you can't go I'm a white man and I think this, right? So no discrimination of any sort, but then they break their own rules right there. And you cannot be part of a hate sub. What constitutes a hate sub in their eyes is basically anything that even moderately disagrees with them. And it's just kind of insane, really. It's insane that this is being allowed by such a massive platform like Reddit, like just open racism, essentially. Just open racism. It's insane. And they banned like 2,000 subreddits based on their hateful content, but they will never ban something like this, which has like I don't know how many members this has. I don't know. But let's have a look at ones of the past month, the hottest posts of the past month. So we've got so we've got some fat shaming there going on. You have to vote for Biden for some reason. Is this the only thing white people know how to do? Again, targeting white people. You deserve to die if you don't wear a mask. That's calls to violence, potentially. At least a call to hate. And don't get me wrong, I'm not an anti-masker by any stretch. I actually think they're really dumb as fuck. But at the same time, I'm holding them to the standards that have been set by Reddit and also by themselves. But obviously, they don't actually hold themselves to their own principles. How to rehabilitate? Okay. So yeah, whatever. That's just one. We also have Black People Twitter, which, no races, their rules of no racism, hate speech. They say that, like, you can only have posts from black people, whatever, right? However, the rules on the mobile version of Reddit are actually a bit different. So if I just get this up on here, obviously I know you can't see it, but you can check this out for yourself if you go on the mobile version of Reddit and you go to black people Twitter, which has 5 million members, by the way, 5 million. And so, how do you get to Country Club? They have rules about how to become a Country Club member. How do you find that again? Oh, that's going to annoy me. They don't make this easy, do they? Reddit is a little bit of an annoying thing as well. Okay, so what is the Black People Twitter Country Club? So most of the posts on Black People Twitter are actually Country Club threads. So how do I get verified to become a Country Club member? So how do you get verified? Basically, you have to send them a picture to prove that you are black, okay? And if you're a non-white person of colour, you have to send them a picture to prove that as well. And then if you're applying as a white ally, I'm assuming that you have to send them a picture and you have to explicitly state that you are applying as a white ally, and you will receive further instructions from us. Now, I don't know what hoops they want you to jump through to become a quote-unquote white ally and how you're actually supposed to prove that. I'm expecting that they'll probably ask you for your Twitter and all other kinds of things so they can do a little bit of a deep dive on you and find out like what it is that you really think and all that kind of stuff. To me, that's discrimination. That's like open discrimination based on race and is actually kind of like a segregation tactic, essentially. Obviously, I know in a certain respect they are kind of allowing white people to engage with the Black People Twitter, but realistically it's in a very limited capacity. White people are essentially expected to be a lower class or a just lower on the totem pole essentially than everyone else. And it's just kind of disgusting. Like, it's maddening to me that this is actually being allowed and supported on such a huge platform that so many people use. And I brought this up in the Dick Show, the Dick Show subreddit, and I was basically just sneered at for even being naive enough to think that this doesn't exist or whatever, or even just to be outraged by it in the first place. So I had to call that attitude out, because at the end of the day, people are just kind of allowing this and sitting back and allowing it to happen. And it's people like that that have caused it to get as out of control as it is. And it's not just Reddit. It pervades everything. It's Twitter, it's Facebook, it's getting into your jobs, it's getting into political discourse, it's in everything now, everything. And it's because people have just not bothered to speak up or speak out against it in like any meaningful way. And then when you do speak up against it, people who should somewhat be on your side about it sneer at you as if you're the dickhead, you're the dick for being outraged by this. Like, what kind of fucking world are we living in where such fucking cuntery is going on? It's really ridiculous to me. I can't actually fathom how this has come to be. It's honestly incredible. And I don't have much more to say about this, to be honest with you. Like, you know, and to be honest with you, like, a lot of the posts on Black People Twitter, right, I actually went through and reported a bunch of them, and I reported a bunch on the other one as well. Luckily, actually, because I logged out just to see if some of these posts still existed, or if it was just because I reported them, they disappeared for me. So I wanted to see if I logged out, then maybe these posts might still exist. But actually, fair dues to the mods of Black People Twitter, those posts actually have disappeared. Like, I have scrolled back through, and I haven't seen, because there was a fair few posts on Black People Twitter that I saw in the last 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, that were just out and out dissing white people straight up. And so fair dues, at least the mods to Black People Twitter do have something of a principle, somewhat. However, I do find that their whole idea of, like, you know, you have to prove your race to be a part of it. Like, I just feel like if the shoe was on the other foot, and you had, like, you know, a white people Twitter or something like that, or a subreddit that was specifically for white people and what white people think, there would be a lot of people up in arms about that. And rightly so, because I do think that idea is retarded as well. Like, it really is. And to be honest with you, if that exists on here, which I'm not sure if it does, but if it does, then yeah, that should be done away with. But I expect that the admins of, you know, the people who do run Reddit, though, they would be on that straight away. Like, they would remove those subreddits. Whereas things like this get to exist with no pushback, essentially. And it's just kind of insane, really. It's just insane. And that's pretty much all I had to say about it. I just wanted to kind of expose that. Maybe there's more people with more examples of this, like better examples. You know, I'm a noob to Reddit, so, like, I don't really have I've just come across this as a cursory user. I've just come across this as a very surface level user who has just, you know, tried to interact with a couple of different things. Yeah, maybe I've tried to give a dissenting opinion. Not even an inflammatory dissenting opinion. I've not said anything crazy at all during this whole thing. Apart from, like, you know, I've hammed up, like, in the Dick Show podcast, my posts are over the top angry for comedic effect. I'm trying to be funny because it's a comedy podcast, and the whole point of the podcast is to rage. And be overly angry, right? That's the whole shtick of the show, right? So that's why I did that. So yeah, I maybe said some crazy things for comedic effect, but not seriously. You know what I mean? Whereas there's actually a lot of serious stuff in here that people just put out constantly with no pushback, and it's kind of crazy. It is really kind of crazy. Like, I literally got called a fucking Nazi. You know, I've been on here for, like, less than 48 hours. I've been called a Nazi already a couple of times, and it's just like I give like the most, you know, mediocre, middle of the road opinion, and that's somehow equatable to being a Nazi somehow. And these people don't realise, like, how they're dry. Like, I've noticed that the Nazi thing and the right wing, like, the fringes of the right wing that used to be laughable. Those people used to be laughable, like, you know, like, we used to laugh at people like that. They used to be the fringes of the right wing, and nobody paid them any mind, and they were pathetic. They've been driven in. People have been driven into the arms of these things just because they can't even have a regular opinion anymore without being called a Nazi. They've been driven into the arms of far-right identitarians because of their complete intolerance and bigotry towards anything that they deem to be slightly outside of their ideological preferences. It's honestly, I haven't got words for it anymore, and to be honest with you, I think I'm going to end the video here, because otherwise I'm just going to keep ranting and saying the same things over and over again. But it is just really, really crazy that this is allowed, and I don't think people should stand for it. And I think there should be a mass exodus from Reddit. Apparently there's a website called Raqqa or something, I'm probably spelling it wrong. Oh no, I can't remember what it's called. I'll have to find it. There are alternative sites that can be used, and Parler's one potentially as well. But yeah, I just think like we need, I think Gab potentially is one as well. But honestly, I think people really need to get away from this stuff and leave these weirdo left-wing people to their own devices. If you really don't stand for this kind of stuff, and if you really do think it's a bad thing, don't just be sitting around on Reddit, giving them your time, giving them your data and money and things like that. And then just tolerating it, and then sneering at people that get outraged by the culture that's formed on Reddit because, like, they're outraged by it, and you have tolerated it. So that makes you better than them somehow because you've tolerated it. How does that make you better than anyone else? It means you're a fucking cuck, mate. That's what it fucking means. I don't even use that word that much, but that is what it fucking means, mate. So yeah, that's all I've got to say on the topic, so I'll leave it there. But thanks very much for tuning in. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.